Shalom, all praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, Bashem Rachakodash. My name is Jacobo from Plaintables Camp. The apostles video is talking about the texture and the color. Yeah, that's probably referring to Revelation 1:14 on down, I believe. It's talking about the texture and its color, white as snow. Let's get that really quick. I'll be in Revelation 1:2. And his head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as flame of fire. All right, so he had white woolly hair. So listening to the apostle. I believe the apostle's going into, the movie Platoon? I think it's a movie called Platoon. I always get the two 70s, 80s war movies mixed up.
Fleur in a Full Metal Jacket, yep. It was Gunnery Lee Emery, which was played Gunnery Sergeant Hartman. He called one of the recruits candidates to be a Marine. His name, I remember that. He says Snowball, and I remember when he used to call him that. I wonder why he called him. And he had a bald head, which he should have had a fro. It's referring to a so-called black man, an African-American man, slavery into post-slavery. Let me do this. Let me come back up here. I'm back over here. And it's certain name or term of abuse for a black person, 1785. So we were still in slavery. So older jakes that had the little fro, the mini fros, when they would get old, their hair would turn white, as we say, gray, and they would call them snowballs. So it was a derogatory term to a so-called black person during slavery and post-slavery. And I'm surprised that this came up. The first time I heard it was Gunnery Sergeant Hartman, which is Lee Emery, and he was in the Marines. He believe he served 2 tours in Vietnam. He got injured. He couldn't go out there no more. He became a comedian. Then he went from being a comedian to an actor. So that was during the time of the Nam. That was in the late 60s, early 70s. That scene, excuse me, bit my tongue. But anyway, so I remember when he said it, he kept calling the Jake candidate, he said, Snowball. So now I know what it means. Because it resembled when the slave masters during slavery and post-slavery, racist whites of the South used to look at older black men that have many fros and call them snowballs. So when John saw the Messiah, we're going to read it. He said as white as wool, as white as snow. So he was going by when he said white as wool, it was the texture of wool, but it was white wool. And as white as snow, meaning he looked like he had a snowball head.
All right, that's heavy. Snowball. So it's a derogatory term, but it's really not derogatory. All right. Unless you're saying people that have snowball heads are like bad or something like that. So it was an observation. Your head looked like a snowball. So I mean, vocab alone is just helping us. You know, he's our enemy, but he helps us sometimes. Let me see. We're at 5 minutes. Let's see.
As opposed to brown.
I'm saying like
exactly
how they changed him to somebody else, but we not changing him. The Bible says Christ was a man of color. He had hair as wool, not like meaning as wool, like we have hair as wool. So
you're saying it's talking about his texture?
So
yes, it's talking about his texture and his color. It was wool, the texture of wool, and it happened to be white, as opposed to black wool, as opposed to brown, white, and black wool, as opposed to gray wool.
Well,
No, I'm asking you. You're saying that's talking about the texture of his hair, right, Shar?
yes. What is wool then? If it's hair,
Okay,
it's wool.
Shar.
What is wool?
What is the texture of snow?
You tell me.
Yeah, well, he don't. I guess the what's his name? Whatever his name was. I guess he don't know. The apostle just broke it down. That was beautifully too. Texture of snow is wool. All right, and that was a derogatory term used against us. So you can't, as the scriptures say, you can't do nothing against the truth but for the truth. So the texture, so it's sort of like vocab Malone trying to say, oh no, the texture is not really wool, it's really snow. All right, well, they're the same texture. All right, if that's what he's trying to say. So let's go back up to the apostle. Let's see him change subjects real quick.
I remember hearing it for the first time and I didn't know what it meant. So now let's come over here to Revelation 1. Because he doesn't want you to think that, oh, the Lord had to be black. Now vocab says he's neither white. Well, what color is he? Is he Chinese? Is he Arab? Is he East Indian? Arab? What is he? Palestinian? What is he? So let me go to Revelation 1. Even Billy Graham said that. He said, I believe he was a black man. He said that more than once. And in the midst of the seven candlestick, one like unto the Son of Man, which is the Messiah, clothed in a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle. His head and his hairs, meaning the hairs on his head and his hairs were white like wool. White. So what he saw was white woolly hair, as white as snow. So it's talking about, why would he use two examples? All he had to do was say white as snow and that's it. So his hair is obvious that his texture was woolly and it was white, as opposed to brown wool, as opposed to black wool, as opposed to spots of white, black, brown, as white as snow. Remember, they called the slave masters called us older men of a particular age, when they had the mini afros, they would call them Snowball. Hey, Snowball, come over here and get that for me. And his eyes were as a flame of fire, and his feet like unto fine brass, because he saw his feet, so he had to be wearing sandals or no shoes at all, as if they burned in the furnace, and his voice was like the sound of many waters. Let's look up the word brass. Let's go to the Greek word. I believe in the Spanish Bibles, it says bronze, if I'm not mistaken. Let's listen to it.
So this is a special brass is calcolimbano. All right, which just goes back to, I don't know if the apostle is going to go into it, calcolimbanan. And this goes back to Hebrew. Calcos and limbanos, which means, I believe it means brass, frankincense. All right. So this is, I believe, which one? Or both? Or, yeah, both. Let me go back to Hebrew. Let me see. Okay, Calcos is Greek. All right. Kalos is Greek, but Limbanos goes back to Hebrew. La Bawana. Let's click it. Frankincense, ceremonially used in compounding the holy incense. All right. So it's a sort of a metaphor for how precious Yahushua is. All right. Pure frankincense. All right. This is a good thing. Brass frankincense. And thou shalt put oil upon it and lay frankincense thereon. And thou shalt put pure frankincense upon each row, that it may be on the bread of the memorial, even an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. All right, so this is a precious ointment. Exodus 30 and 34, and Yahweh said unto Moses, take unto these sweet spices, steak, or stat, and oinka, and galbanum, these sweet spices with pure frankincense of each shall there be like weight. All right, this is a precious frankincense in combination with chalcos, which means brass. So this is how we know that the writers of what we call the New Testament writings were Hebrew Israelites. All right, whether they were circumcised or uncircumcised. And his feet like unto fine brass, precious brass. Calcon Lambano. Oh, you see how they do it right now? I noticed this a couple of days ago. You go over to English, it goes over to Greek, and I believe it does to the Hebrew too. Like unto fine brass, as if burned in furnace. Brass in furnace burned. Cacolombanos, as in furnace burned. Furnaces. Camino. Fine brass, as in furnace burned. Yeah, here we go. Let's listen to the apostle.
Lebanon. Chalca Lebanon.
Chalca Lebanon, which supposedly means some metal like gold, if not more precious. You got some of our people that have a gold color, a lightest brown caramelish color. Let's see if okay. And unto the angel of the church in Thyatira, write, these things saith the Son of the Most High, which is Yahushua, who hath his eyes like unto a flame of fire. And we never go to this. and his feet are like fine brass. So let's look up the word brass. Father came down in the form of a man, he would come down looking like his son. This is why we don't acknowledge, we don't listen to, we don't dialogue with Christians. Okay, let me see here. I'll steady click on images. Look at this. It's brass. Different shades of brass. Jake's got relative, this color. Teapot. Look at the color of it. I've seen Jake's this color and this color. Who's not? Look at that. You've seen Jake's? Possible bars about this complexion. Then these guys are going to go into the Greek and the Aramaic. They're going to bend over backwards to show you, oh, he can't possibly be a black man. Look at this. That's black. I seen my people in this complexion. So what the hell are you talking about, vocab? Oh, beautiful. Oh my goodness, wait a minute. Snowball. Hey, Snowball. There's a man of a particular age, right? That had a mini afro. We call it a mini afro. If they were in this mid to late 60s, early 70s, their hair would grow white. If they had no beard, and the slave master, even after post-slavery, they would call him Snowball because it resembles a snowball. So that's what John saw. So he said it was white as wool, or white wool, as white as snow. So what he described was the texture and the color. It was white wool hair. We write that down. And it was white as snow. The color. Snowball head. Snowball. Watch the movie Full Metal Jacket, and you see what I'm talking about. So now, let's go over here to St. John, John, I believe it's 14 and 6. I'm sorry, before that, it was 8. Philip saith unto him, show us the Father, and it suffices us. Yahushua saith unto him, have I been so long time with you, and yet hast thou not known me, Philip? He that hath seen me hath seen the Father. And how sayest thou then, show us the Father? That doesn't mean he was a father, but he said, I look like my father. If my father came down in human form, he would look like me. So now, let's go to Daniel.
The mercy and compassion that Yahushua had on the Israelites, his people, his brothers, is the same compassion that the Most High is going to show, because it's really the Father doing it through Yahushua. The reason why we have grace and forgiveness of sins and we're going to receive the kingdom is because of the Father. All right, he dispatched his Son, his only begotten Son, to die and be resurrected for the sons of Israel. I mean, all of Israel. All right. But only, the elect are going to make it on the first ride out of here. The elect. So I'll leave that there. Lebanon and Libano is the word there, and the word inflected is Libano, and the root is Libanon. All right, so frankincense and brass together makes the description of what Yahushua looked like. All right, when he was in the spirit. All right, because he had a glow to him also. All right, it says, and he had in his right hand 7 stars, and out of his mouth went a sharp 2-edged sword, and his countenance was as when the sun shineth in his strength. All right, so Yahushua was glowing bright. All right, his skin of brass, hair of wool. All right, as if they burned in a furnace. That's burned furnace, burned. So this is burned. Puerto. That's the actual word there. Let's look that up. That's the root word. Put a new tab. Now let's search. I don't have my Greek book with me. Search DuckDuckGo. Can we translate? I don't see it. Destiny faded, translating a different word. Let's just look up the root word. All right. To burn with fire, to set on fire, to kindle, to burn with fire, to be incensed, indignant, very angry, inflamed, fire, melted by fire, purge of dross. All right. And so Yahushua was glowing. All right. Deflected. All right. There. And he had in his right hand 7 stars, and out of his mouth went a sharp 2-edged sword, and his countenance was as the sun shineth in his strength. I believe the 7 stars are 7 churches. That was Asia Minor. And the sword was, the judgment. 2-edged sword. All right, so that's what? The death, destruction, judgment, negative judgment. All right, so I'll leave that there. It was, it's talking about the texture and the color of Yahushua, and the other attributes. He was glowing. All right, so this is him in his full power. This picture like Super Saiyan. Like Super Saiyan 3 Goku. All right. This energy. That's where they get it from. They get it from the scriptures. Came to this verse here, and that's where they got the concept from Dragon Ball Z. All the powers and all that. They get it from the Revelation. And other precepts of superhuman abilities of the Israelites. All right, so I'll leave that there. Hope you edified. Shalom.